When you've been a high-level athlete, though, you can always step into those things and just do it. You know what I mean? You understand that.
Yeah, I do. What's up, everyone? We're back for an episode 2. Did you think we'd make it to episode 2, Paul?
I didn't know if you were going to let me. Just a normal guy on a podcast again, I guess.
You were a normal... You were just sitting back being a normal guy on a podcast, which we had, Kobe mentioned it, and Charles, one of our boys, and basically saying that's like the least normal thing you could say on a podcast ever.
But I didn't know what a normal guy on a podcast should say.
It's probably to shut up.
Just to be normal?
Just to not do what you did.
Okay, I'll just be normal.
How, you probably never thought you'd start a podcast, but what's your feedback on how it went?
I mean, I enjoyed it. I like talking to you. I like hanging out. You know, we're just here to have a good time.
I feel like that's going to get criticized.
That's going to get criticized. No, it was
kind of like Jake Ballard said. You sounded like an alien trying to convince humans that you're a human.
No, I think it's you know what? It's like with us, I just want it to be more of a time to have ministry, talk about sports, life. So I thought it went well.
That sounded a little more humanized.
Okay, did we? I mean, it's like we accomplished, I feel like, what we were trying to do. Maybe?
I mean, a little. I think we were trying to introduce who we were.
It's true.
Introduce a little bit of our lives. Looking back, or were there some things that were off? Sure.
Probably.
100% there were. But yeah, that's good. I'm glad you made it to the other side. How'd your week go, bro?
Man, it's been a week. You know, there's times in life I feel like where it's like we're trying to, I mean, you know this, you know me better than anybody, but I think where we're trying to say yes to God, do the right things, and and it's you just get smacked. So I feel like this was a little bit of
it felt
like a smacking.
Anyone that's watched any of the Rocky movies, it felt like the first 7 rounds.
Yeah,
this week did. Actually, kind of the last 2 weeks.
I was going to say last 2 weeks have been like that
in business and life. It feels like it feels kind of like we've been battered a little bit.
Yeah. I would compare it to when David was in. No, I'm just joking. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be that guy. It was
be that guy.
I'll be that guy. We were in the cave this week.
We were in
being
the cave,
hunted by Saul.
Yes.
And not only did he
and you started writing Psalms.
And I started writing Psalms. It said Saul never caught David. I feel like this week he caught us. Well, and then he beat us with a spear.
Yeah, but somehow
we made it.
We didn't die.
No, we didn't die.
Which is a positive.
Yeah.
No, it just feels like that's something that happened. And I'm sorry, everyone. I don't know why, but I had my cell phone on. And if you could hear my cell phone, that's the dumbest thing I've ever.
It's 1998.
Cell phone's the dumbest thing.
1998.
It's 1998. My phone, so if you heard the ringer, my bad. But we felt battered a little bit.
Yep.
Just so you know, and you're always going to get the real us, we're not going to fake anything. We deal with things. We're not doing a podcast because we're just uber successful human beings. But it was a heck of a week. Tough week on the Nebraska front, bro. Yeah. We predicted the game. We both were wrong.
We were wrong.
We were wrong on the winner.
That was
Dylan Raiola broke his fibula, broke his ankle. Broke his fibula, but it's a high ankle sprain that goes into a break of the fibula. I had that same exact thing in 2014.
You can encourage him a little bit.
Yeah, I can try to encourage him. Dylan, if you're out there, you're gonna have your best year next year.
Yeah,
I had my best year of my career after it.
You did.
So,
you know what's wild? After my Achilles, I had the best year of my career. My career being a dad.
Expand on that.
My career being a dad.
Because you couldn't. You could barely jog 15 months after it.
Yeah, I still need to get back into it. We got to get back into jogging.
No, we got to go back into.
This is an accountability measure.
So we talked a little bit about Paul. Did we talk about your Achilles or not last week?
I think we told him that.
Maybe that was just a social media post. Yeah. So Paul tore his Achilles. Yeah, we did maybe. I don't know. Short memory. But he tore his Achilles playing a flag football.
20 months ago.
20 months ago. I loved the whole rehab process with you. So Paul,
I rehabbed
the
like an
thing
athlete.
is with Paul is Paul talked like he was a grinder, and he's like, man, I've just really rehabbed hard. I don't know how these NFL guys do it and make it back. Could you share with everyone your rehab?
I mean, I go to physical therapy a couple times a week.
And what did that? We're not going to name names because I don't want to take down a PT. But like, what did you do?
I rehabbed it.
What's that mean? So what everyone needs to know, Paul has no idea what rehab is. He has no clue what rehab is. He claimed that he did everything that Aaron Rodgers did, claimed that he did everything that Kirk Cousins did, everything that J.K. You did not do ayahuasca.
Did not.
Everything that J.K. Dobbins did, everything that any Achilles guy has ever done. But yet, Paul couldn't walk hardly. Now, he did do he didn't get surgery. It's kind of a newer,
very
newer development. But I really do believe if you would have like gotten after the rehab, you probably would be.
I'd be trying out for the college right now.
No, you wouldn't be trying out for the college, but you'd be able to run. And now, 20 months out, you can run now, can't you?
Yeah.
With a little bit of hitch.
Little hitch in the get up.
Just a little hitch.
Hitch in the get up.
But the thing that's great about Paul, everyone will learn this. Paul lives in fairy tale land sometimes.
I receive.
Would you agree?
Probably. I mean, I might be a dreamer, futuristic thinker.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty accurate, because you thought that you were doing everything known to man.
I was doing.
You weren't doing anything. So what happens?
What I've learned that me and you would.
Yeah. So rehab to Paul is twice a week. You go in for an hour. You do maybe a couple exercises, and then at home we'll do some calf raises.
Yeah. What would rehab be for you?
Rehab for me, unfortunately, I tore two ACLs, tore a hamstring, broke my ankle. I would say 6 days a week I was in for about 4 to 5 hours just rehabbing.
So a little bit longer then.
So a little bit longer. And so I kind of thought you were an idiot when you were like, I've done everything. You haven't. You didn't do anything.
But then I really turned it on, you remember?
No, what'd you do? You did ART a couple times?
Yeah, it felt great though.
Yeah, like once a week you would do ART.
Yeah, I think it was once a week. Helped me though.
So he doesn't really have any clue.
We'll start telling you about our marathon training here soon. I said it on a podcast. It means I have to do one. You gonna join me?
The problem is, Paul, I don't know how many times Paul Lanphier has trained for a marathon 130 times. How many marathons have you ran, though?
Like 5.
He has ran 5. I don't know how many times in our friendship. So
the last
no, but you would years. Say, hey, shout out Josh Dotzler. I'm running a marathon with Josh. I go, no, you're not. You haven't trained.
It's true. I wasn't trained that well.
You didn't train at all. Here and there, you'd run 3 miles.
The last time I really trained was that I was like in really good shape was 2020. That's 6 years ago.
Yeah. But I remember just a couple years ago, I remember we had to convince you and your wife to not let you. Me and my wife did.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Because we're like, he hasn't trained. Basically, you were going to just run 3 miles a week and then run a marathon.
I was going to wing it, that one.
Yeah, that's not legit.
When you've been a high level athlete, though, you can always step into those things and just do it. You know what I mean? You know, you understand that.
Yeah, I do. I would say
people like me and you get that one.
People like us do get that. Speaking of high level athletes, what are you thinking about your Ravens right now, dog? They might
make a run.
They might make a run.
And they're my team. So so it's clear, wherever Aaron Rodgers is at, that's where I'm the most emotionally involved. And then I'll say, but my team is the 49ers. But I do like Lamar and the Ravens. They were going to be the best. I mean, they were the best offense that never got to be the best offense.
Yeah, and what about the Niners?
Are
you a Mac Jones believer, or
No. I mean, it's, you know what he's done. I love when you see a great backup step in, but no, not a believer. But bless him, I'm happy he's doing well. You know what I mean?
Don't say that.
But you got to bless him. If they're, I mean, it's just a guy out there. You know, those
Bro, you're gonna get
commercials.
You're not going to get us canceled because you didn't say anything wrong, but no one will listen
if I say bless him.
Yes. No. Paul does this thing if he doesn't like him, but bless him. I love him. Or like if you're
Mac, I'm in your corner. Is what I'm saying. A true fan in your corner.
A true fan. In how long have you been a Niners fan? This is the other thing. He bounces around.
No, but I've been a Niners.
You've been a Niners fan for a while. You went to Bethel.
Yeah, I went to ministry school.
You went to ministry school, so you had no interest in the 49ers before that.
No, not a ton. I mean, yeah, that's true.
None.
I was just more of a player guy. Wherever Mike Vick was.
You were not a player guy.
Mike Vick, wherever he was, that's who I was going to be a fan of.
If there was like a sick bandwagon.
And then you
were jumping on that bandwagon.
But I didn't watch sports that much like when you were I didn't really watch sports that much till a year ago, 2 years ago. Growing up, I did.
So, Blake, if this is you, I'm sorry. And maybe do you ever watch TV? He does. Okay. This boy's a dinosaur over here. For how many years of your marriage did you guys not own a TV?
I want to say we got a TV. It would have been the year after you retired. It was when you retired. So it would have been 8 years ago. 7 years ago? It's the first TV we had in our house.
First TV, Blake.
Now, we did have a large one that didn't have channels, but we could watch a movie on.
You might as well go waterboard yourself.
It was just
TV.
My wife and I would play card games. And no, we don't. We hate cards. We would. I don't even
No.
know.
This is good for everyone. If there's any men and women who are married, if somehow probably won't happen, but say they decided to listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
Explain what you did.
I was trying to think of that. I mean, I would go to like sports bars with friends and watch games. So
No. What did you do at home?
Oh, we would just
sit down and read together?
I mean, we have 5 kids, so there's one thing.
What did you guys do before children with no television? I can't, my wife and I, our best memories are TV together.
All right, do you know what we would do? We would sit there and
we'd watch Biggest Loser. Great show.
We would watch stuff, not joking. We would watch, if we wanted to watch a movie or something at night, we would watch it on our computer in our bed laying down. Wasn't bad. Wasn't a big screen. I mean, 14 inches or whatever it is.
I mean, I'm looking at my computer right now.
That's what we had. It was a Mac too.
Yeah, sounds like a tough life.
Thicker Mac,
So what did you guys do? If you were at your house,
you know me.
I have no idea what to do.
But you know me.
Am I too reliant on television? Sure, maybe. I'm okay.
It's weird.
I can admit this.
We went 9 years without one in our marriage. We've been married 17, actually probably 9.5. I mean, we would just. It's a great question. I mean, hang out together, talk.
Puzzle?
Because we don't do puzzles. We don't play games. We just talk and hang out, watch some stuff on the computer.
Did you
cook.
learn to sew or something?
No.
If I'm going to do something like that.
We were always.
I'm going to learn to do something.
But you're a homebody. We weren't home that much. You know me. I like to just be doing stuff. I know it's bad back then.
So were you ever home?
Never really. Not
so
that
when
much.
you were home, what'd you do? Was it only to sleep?
I mean, and then we would maybe watch if we wanted to
eat
watch
food
something.
And look at each other.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like caveman stuff.
eat food.
You're talking about David. Like, you've been in the cave for a while.
Yeah. My wife would come into the cave with me.
All right.
We'd kiss a little.
Yeah. I figured that's where it'd go. The other thing is, I think everyone needs to know that, as Paul said that he was a great athlete last week, but then he didn't hit puberty, so he wasn't like an elite athlete. Like, you said you love sports. You knew everything about the NFL. You knew everything about the NBA.
Back in the day.
Would you please tell us what had you stop watching the NBA, first of all?
This is serious.
And this is someone who claims to like sports
now,
and then went about, was it 20 years? Not quite.
No.
15 years without watching sports.
15. Well, okay. Now,
15.
I would still watch them.
He'd watch them. When he said he'd watch them, I remember 4 years ago, he was like, yeah, I watched the game. He watched one series.
Of the whole game, I think.
That's not watching.
Yeah, but now I watch the games.
Sounds like sounds like a man without a TV.
But now I do watch the
like.
games. Now I do watch the games. So
yeah, no, you do now. Why'd you
NBA,
stop?
I'm going to be honest, and I'm sure we'd be great friends.
You're
hung
a
out.
great sports conspiracy theorist.
I'm sure
Go
we'd
ahead.
be great friends. But I was calling the gambling rings before they have gotten found out. So biggest one was obviously the Spurs. There's no way, if you look at the talent back then, that they should have done anything. And if you watch the games, no offense to Tim Duncan, but
this is a hot take.
They would call fouls 7 feet away, and they wouldn't replay it because it was a conspiracy. They wanted to make it seem like the NBA fundamentals, all these things went. Well, we know, like now it's like shoot threes, athletic, like yes, you got to play as a team, but they were trying to like keep this old school basketball alive. So the NBA cheated to have the Spurs win, and after watching so many games of just the craziest ref calls ever, I couldn't watch the Spurs anymore. I made and it's not, and I didn't, honestly, I love David Robinson. I actually liked the Spurs, but I had to be a realist and say, are they cheating? And
that's one thing
they were cheating.
Is you're not a realist. I hated the Spurs. No one else liked the Spurs.
I met a couple people.
Okay. The NBA didn't want the Spurs to win.
They wanted them to win.
They did not want them to win. The last thing on earth that they would want, because it doesn't sell. In professional sports business,
okay,
you want something that sells. San Antonio Spurs didn't sell. I would argue they were trying to get other teams to win, but they were just that good at fundamentals.
I think the NBA was trying to make a concerted effort to get people to go to the Alamo, so they wanted the Spurs to win.
Was this during your no TV years?
No, this was high school, end of high school. Me and a friend, Mike Good, if he ever listens, would watch them, and we would throw stuff. We would throw stuff at the TV. We'd be so mad. We could not watch the Spurs anymore.
It's because you hated the Spurs. I hated them too, but I also had. You say you're a realist. That's you being a fanboy of everyone but the Spurs.
I just didn't
didn't
like the Spurs.
Kind of like the Ravens and the Niners. And I've seen it firsthand. You'd probably say someone's betting against them. You said that was it Super last Bowl, year or the year before?
Year before.
You said, I just don't know how the Niners didn't win. They had the best talent ever. It's like,
They were a way better team than the Chiefs that year, but the Chiefs had this one thing, or two things: Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And they won the Super Bowl, and the refs did help some of those calls.
You could argue, and I wanted the Niners to win. I'm a Chiefs hater.
Yeah, you are a Chiefs hater.
I do not like the Chiefs. The Niners lost.
Yeah.
You always say, this team should have won. This guy should get fired. This, that, and the other. You say that all the time.
I do say that. I don't really mean it, though, because if I sat down with them, I'd probably end up hugging them.
See, this is like, where are we? Like, where are we?
What are we doing today?
You'd probably hug them.
I don't know. I probably would.
I think I was desensitized.
That's probably a true statement,
I think
though.
being in the NFL made me be
being around me
a little black and white, and I was like,
do you think
that guy should be fired?
Do you think being around
because people said that about me a lot?
Do you think being around me has changed you?
I don't know if it's changed. I mean, definitely changed me in some ways. I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards aliens every once in a while. But like, I mean, Kobe and I have talked about it. Like, we'll have some Paulisms that are like ridiculous. Like Paul, one time we're working, and there's something funny that we're about to laugh at, and he says, "Hey, just 1 minute," and he's like emailing on his phone or something. He goes, "Just 1 minute, because I just want to laugh with you guys."
Well, I wanted to be able to enter in to laugh in the moment.
I want to laugh with you guys?
Yeah, I wanted to enter in.
Hey, just give me a minute. And then he's typing away. Just give me a minute, guys. I want to laugh with you. Okay, it's done. Then it's like a delayed thing, and then you laugh. Instead of just laughing and making a joke and then be like, guys, I got to do this email.
But I get like distracted, and
we got the isms here, the Paulisms.
All right,
this is another one.
So I've been thinking this week.
I had a really good night last night. What's that even mean?
It was a great.
Or it's like, oh no, last night, yeah.
I always
me and my kids had me and my kids had a good night. You evaluate your nights all the time?
There's some nights that are good, some that are bad, some that are hard. Last night was a good night. It's a good night.
All right. But we just got some Paulisms.
It was a good night.
But anyways, you didn't have a TV for 20 years.
Little while I didn't have a TV. But now I got one. And I love it. Love it.
And so he had one TV. I'm not saying anyone that has one TV, that's not bad. We have like five or six.
We did get one.
We have two in our room. A lot of people, they claim that's the...
You have two? You do have two in your room.
Yes. Gosh, yes, we do. Some people will claim that like that's terrible for a marriage. It's wild. I think it's one of the best. This has been one of the best things for our marriage. Because we go to bed early. We're in bed early. And the reason it's one of the best things that's ever happened to our marriage is my wife goes to bed early. Like, we'll fall asleep. She'll fall asleep at 8 if she had the opportunity.
That's wild.
So us putting a television in our room, if I wanted to stay up and watch football, I could and still be with her. So it's like...
That's beautiful.
Because before we ever had one, I just stay out and watch the game, and we weren't together.
So it's a closeness thing.
Yes.
See, that's the thing. We might need that in our room because my wife always wants to go to bed.
I know, but you probably grew up in the era. They're like, no TVs, bad TVs, bad TVs.
James Dobson would not want a TV in my room.
James Dobson. Probably great. I probably differ on TV views.
I probably do too.
And that's not
I differ on
thing.
a lot.
I'm not saying I have it figured out on the TVs.
Yeah. But
for our marriage, I think we have it figured out.
That's true. This is all new to us.
Hey, Blake, give me a nod if you think TVs in the room are awesome. They're not bad.
Blake, do you have a TV in your room?
He probably.
Okay.
So we do, and it's just been great. And I don't know how many times we've binge watched TV shows, and it was awesome.
You're kind of getting me excited to get a TV in our room. My wife will hate that. She'll judge you.
I hope she does.
She won't.
I hope she does.
No, she'll judge.
I don't judge people that don't have one. I'm just saying, I think it's great.
Okay.
So we had 5 or 6. You got one 7 years ago, and then just this year, he got his second one.
Oh, I love that one. I love having a TV in my basement, just laying down with my kids.
It's like you have 2 kids. I have 5 or 6.
It's like they're like my babies.
They're like your babies.
I love it.
I'm encouraging people to watch TV now.
It's all right. TV's great.
You know what? I think that's probably as we've corrupted minds, I think it's probably a good thing to go into kind of what we want to talk about today. As TVs have rescued you.
They've rescued us.
We kind of wanted to chat a little bit about God rescuing people. I picked out this is what I picked out because it's been an instrumental verse in my life. I mean, I have a tattoo of it right here. Wherever a camera is, I don't know. There's somewhere. But it's Exodus 14:14, and it's talking about the Israelites. So they had left Egypt. God delivered them from Egypt, and they were enslaved. And they come to a point where they're at the Red Sea, and if I see a huge body of water, I'm probably not going to think that we can float across with all our supplies. And just, it was deep. Like my guess is they weren't going to be able to take everything across.
I don't think their donkeys would have made it.
The donkeys would have had a tough time, but we don't know. We don't know what their donkeys were like back then.
That's true.
Anyways, they come to this point and they're a little bit bickering and complaining to Moses. Like, I would have rather still been a slave. Like,
it's wild.
Yeah, think about that. They were in slavery, and they're like, it would have been better off to be enslaved. But God delivered them. Anyways, it gets to this point, and it's starting in verse 13. It says, Moses answered the people, do not be afraid, stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today you will never see again. In verse 14, this is a verse that for the past 8 years, God has made very real in my life. But it says, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. And then anyone that knows, if you don't know the Bible story, God ends up parting the Red Sea, and they walk on dry land, and then the Egyptians come and chase them and drown after they're trying to kill them. Anyways, what happened is God rescued them. God rescued the Israelites, his people. He rescued them from Egypt, and he rescued them from the Red Sea. And then if you keep reading on, he makes sure they have food when they don't, make sure they have water when they don't. But yeah, God's a rescuing God. It's kind of wild. In 2017, 18, when I retired.
17, 18.
This is where the story comes from for me when this became real in my life. I retired, and man, it was everything that I ever wanted. I remember asking God in 17 or the beginning of 18 to get me fired and whatever, and God answering those prayers. And I end up retiring and end up being the best time of my life. I was thinking, the next day I'm looking up Nebraska golf tournaments, and I'm like, I'm going to be good at golf. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get home. I am not going to have any responsibilities. I'm going to get back to Omaha. It's going to be amazing. I have no responsibilities. I'm going to not set an alarm. It's going to be awesome. And then God took me through 3 to 6, not 3, probably 6 to 12 months of tough. End up dealing with anxiety, depression, panic attacks, or depression-ish for a season. And man, I remember I was in Baltimore, Maryland, in our little sitting room by our front door. And to the point, I was dealing with anxiety to the point of curling up in a ball, not knowing what to do. One of the most crippling times I would say in my life. I mean, I couldn't function. I remember my wife, in the kindest way, she goes, because it was months, and she's like, I almost feel like I don't even know you. And I still to this day remember, I go, yeah, me neither. I don't know me either. It was something I had never experienced. I remember it would be to the point I'd have things going through my head, and I'd just be praying. I'd be going into the pantry to get some food, and I'd be in there for 5 minutes, just not knowing what to do, almost praying.
Well,
and she'd be like, Danny, Like, am I losing you here? And I'd be like, yeah. Yeah. I didn't know what I was doing. And it was like this, not a cycle. It was just something like, I think some of it was because everything in the NFL, I always had a purpose for my job. Like every day, even when we had days off, I had to make sure I was doing this. I had to make sure I was working out, eating right, everything. I always had a goal. Of like, I need to make sure I need to make the team this year.
Yeah.
So like my mind was always filled with like, with work.
Yeah.
And so like everything in my life was kind of controlled to an extent.
Yeah.
Like I'd spend my time with Jesus, whatever. And then I didn't have any dead time. And what happened is everything stopped. And I remember going through days where I would be all over the place, like panicking. I remember I was driving home on a freeway. My whole face went numb. My arms started going numb. And I was just like talking to God. I was like, God, I need to get home. I can't pass out while I'm driving on the freeway. That'd be a tough sitch. And it's like, you can't get on the shoulder and lay down.
It would be funny, but it wouldn't be funny. Cause
like, I mean, there'd be a little comedy to it. Like if you really think about it, if you would have been sad because we were just becoming friends.
Yeah. That's true.
That would have been a tough way.
How'd he go?
Well,
he fell asleep during a panic attack.
Yeah, that would not have been good. I don't even know if it was falling asleep.
And he drove off a cliff, but there's no cliffs in Nebraska. I don't know.
We don't know.
It happened.
It was in Maryland.
Oh, yeah, right.
No, but I remember it was to the point where I had to I was just praying and trying to breathe deep. And this is a weird trick that no one try this.
You have some weird tricks though.
Yeah. I would squint. And it figured out the anxiety because I focused on something other than I could still see, but I was like, and by the way, not a health professional. No one take this advice. This is probably the worst advice ever, but I still remember, and God always would get me home. And I remember the one thing that would help me is I'd get home and I'd just jump in the shower and it would not wake me up, but it would settle me down. But during this time, I mean, it was a wild time in my life. I had grown up in the church, whatever, for 30 years, right? And I had been following Jesus for a long time, probably 28 years. And I mean, it got to the point, just because I didn't know, it was a new season of life and I had never seen this season. And it was to the point too. And I started having idle time, which not great for the mind. I mean, it's actually kind of that's when the enemy's going to try to get at you. So I had all this time, and what happened was I would even read the Bible sometimes, and it was almost like the enemy would try to twist the words. And it's like, do I even believe this? So you start questioning everything. And I remember just laying in bed sometimes, I couldn't function.
Yeah.
But anyways, God, I think I was sitting at our, maybe at our island or whatever, in the kitchen. And I read Exodus 14:14. And it was like, hey, Danny, you don't need to keep trying to control this situation.
That's good.
All you have to do is be still. I'm fighting. And I think the biggest thing is we have a God who fights for us. We have a God who rescues us from the anxiety, from the panic, from the depression, from the whatever the crap you're dealing with.
Yeah.
We have a God that actually cares so much about us. He cared so much about me that he wanted to rid me and free me from my own control. I wanted to control my life. I wanted to fix the anxiety. I wanted to fix the panic stuff or the depressive feelings. Yeah. And I remember I came to this moment, And I was just reading and I was talking to God. I was like, this sucks. I think I was probably crying. And I was probably almost curled up in a ball, something like that. And I got the realization. I was like, man, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what my next 50 years looks like. Yeah. But it's worth it. If I have to deal with this every day, I'm okay with it because God's going to take care of me. And it's worth it. It's worth it if someday I get to see his face. Like, it's worth it. But that day I just said, you're going to have to figure it out. You're going to have to fight for me. I'm going to have to just be still. I'm going to believe what you told Moses to tell the Israelites. I'm going to believe you're telling me that too.
Yeah.
I'm going to believe that you're fighting for me. I'm going to believe that you're rescuing me.
Yeah.
So that verse has, and there's so many other, I could talk about so many other times in my life.
We said we could talk about this for days.
Yeah. If you look at the Israelites when they're in the promised land, they could go many times and say, hey, God rescued me here. God rescued me when we needed manna. God rescued me when we needed water. God rescued me when we needed whatever. And sometimes it's just like giving up. That's what I felt like, is like I had to just give up.
So good.
Give up control.
It's that daily surrender, I feel like, is what in like Exodus, it's like, Lord, every single day I need you to rescue me.
Yeah.
Every single day I need, like when you think of the manna, when you think of the water, it's like, I think there's something about walking hand in hand with God that we miss a lot because we want, X amount in our bank accounts, X amount here. And like the Lord saying, not saying that money's the only thing, but it could be in our relationships. Yeah. It could be with people that aren't married and want a spouse, but it's like, do you trust me? I've told you, it's like this year for me is a trust and surrender year. It's like, do I trust the Lord? Do I actually trust the Lord? And is my faith in him? Yeah. Or is it in my abilities? Is it in my what I think the outcomes are? And I think, so cool hearing your story about that.
Yeah,
I've never had one like that. I've always just trusted the Lord.
Yeah. Give us a little bit of rescuing.
Man,
a Paulism of rescuing Paul.
My life has been a rescue story, right? It's like I joke around that. I somebody yesterday was actually sharing. They're like, my wife came to church, and at 19 years old, gave her life to Jesus, was on drugs, was doing all these things, horrible stuff. And 19 years old, he meets the Lord and never struggled. Like everything was broke free originally. And I'm like, man, that's the exact opposite of my story.
That's not real.
And that's what I would hear growing up. And I'd be like, oh crap, why do I still struggle with these things? Why do I want to love Jesus. I do love Jesus, but I'm struggling with all this stuff. And I feel like I gave up. It's like, I remember the first time one of the rescues is like in high school. It's like, man, for years, it's like, I didn't live for the Lord. I think I was so just disappointed in life, because when you go from being the top athlete, I'm kind of joking, but
you're not kind of joking. You're joking.
But
you're not kind of joking.
And then you're like, oh man, now my life, and it's like, you just get this disappointment in your heart. And I feel like I would live a lot of like those times out of disappointment, almost like had to like prove myself, or resentment. And you start getting in a almost where you're reacting like to prove. So it's like, what is that? People pleasing. You'll live in fear of man, all those things. And I'm still walking through that, right? It's like, this isn't a Paul's arrived, but I remember God just like, when I gave my life to the Lord at 19, I was like, Lord, like, I give you everything, like everything. And it was a continual progress of learning how to give the Lord everything. It still is. And I feel like my wife and I would pray these big prayers, like, don't give us anything till we're ready. And it's like, man, it's been cool because I can see a continued pattern in our life where it's like we miss the mark, like stress, fear, whatever. But it's like God, like his faithfulness overcame that lack. And kind of like in your story. And I think of like a rescue story. This, it's like for me, I was mine happened probably a little later than yours because I didn't hit the glory years, but my
glory years.
It's like mine's been a tale of like, man, I would just entrepreneurial and I remember in my 20s, it's like I said, I was with a home, I think I said this last week, doing home building, thought it was going to be great. Went through some stuff with our business partner. During that time, my wife's parents were killed in a car crash. I mean, and you're just like, Lord, what do I do? And it's like you start leaning into like all the things that God does have for you, and you really try, but you're just, at the same time, you're kind of reeling. And you depend on the Lord. And it's like, I remember God during that time, though, being so close to my wife and I. And I thought at that point in life, I had arrived in a weird way. I was like, I've settled it at the extreme. I'm handling this healthily. Healthily, is that a word? I don't think so. But it's like, I remember at that time too, even giving up control, being like, Lord, like, we're going to go into ministry, because we were just reeling, I couldn't go work 60, 70 hours a week, which I didn't want to do anyway, but that's just what I was used to. I was a worker, it's like when you're, and you know me,
your life was, it was filled with kind of the same type. Mine was football.
Yeah.
Yours wasn't football, but I mean, if you look back, because of away games and even home games, when we stayed, like, I was putting in 70 to 100 and some hours.
Oh yeah, and your mind never, and it's like when
never turns off.
And when you own something, your mind just doesn't. Especially me and you, like, we're wired. Just, I mean, not saying everybody's like that, and I'm not saying we're
just
special,
wired a little differently.
But it's like our brains, and you've worked around me. It's like, I can get in tunnel vision, but it's like I feel like it was like, all right, Lord, I like, we're good. And then I always said in my 20s, I was like, I feel like the enemy tries to take guys out in their late 30s, and I think that was I feel like that was my early 30s. And it's like, all right, we did well. Like, now life's never going to have issues again. And then we start this business. And
we thought it was going to be awesome
right away. Like, it's going to be so easy. And the first 2 years sucked. It was the hardest time I can literally say.
Were we in Egypt?
I think we were in Egypt, and my manna was drinking some beers. That was my man.
Is that why you used to always call beers manna?
That's why I didn't call beers manna.
He didn't.
They were. That's
just what it was code.
And it's like, and you realize, like, you start going down this path where you're like, I did not want to find myself here. And you're sitting there, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm 2 years in. And we could see where success was coming around the corner.
You're 2 years in, you're slamming beers.
I'm slamming beers. But it's like, and I would always think, like, when I was in my 30s and 20s, it's like, oh, this is fun. And I do it. It's like, didn't feel. And then you get to that point where you're like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
And you know that in your mind, but it's like, how do you get out of that? And it's like, and the reality was, I couldn't get out of it.
You're trying to dig out.
I was digging myself out, but really I was digging myself into a hole.
Yeah.
Because when you're not vulnerable with people and you're not honest, like, and trying to just, it's like in really living a part of your life where you feel shame, guilt, hiddenness. I know I'm the only one who's ever dealt with that.
You are.
It's like you don't share that with people, and it's like all of a sudden and you can justify things, right? Because you can be like, oh, I still love Jesus. I'm not as bad. I know what real people who drink that are. It's like, I've heard these stories, and then you find yourself. So it's like, oh, well, you know what? If I have a couple extra beers, if I do this, and then you find yourself in this place where it's like that becomes almost the reprieve.
Yeah.
And it's like what I've shared with guys is like, don't let the thing that helps you relax be a thing that could potentially take you out. It's like, because for me, it's like I would just look at it that way, and it started to catch up. And I would say it like this. Somebody said this statement to me. It's like, if you don't kill sin, it will kill you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm so lucky because it's like I had you and my wife, and I mean, honestly, it's like, and just started being vulnerable with it, like in a moment where it's like, I mean, close to not a year and a half ago, but it's like, and it's like where God was like, all right, this is not going to be your life. And I remember the Lord during these times where I was like, Lord, I don't want to, drink more beer. I don't want, and I'd go through periods of like great spiritual times and go, a month or two, and it's like, and it's not like not drinking. By the way, if you drink, great. I like, if you can do it healthily, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, like, to people that do that. But for me, it was the thing that was replacing God in my life.
Yeah.
It was the thing where I wasn't letting him actually rescue me from hurts, from wounds, from feeling insignificant. And like, this has been the year, right? Where it's like, I'm like, man, you've seen, I mean, not saying it's changed my life, but it's like, man,
it's changed your life.
It's people pleasing, things like that, even like fear of man. Now God's starting to like, I'm seeing where those are really becoming like, okay, I got to deal with these. And it's weird. I mean, and even like right now, I'm dealing with that today. It's like, Lord, is it going to be on how I get back to people and just being like a performer? Or is it going to be like, I'm going to do everything to the best of my ability to God and with God. Because I think there's something about doing things with God that we all, I don't know. This is stuff that like I said, we're not arrived.
No.
It's like we're literally dealing with this, but I just feel like it's like the verse that you shared, Exodus 14:14, my rescue story is really, I say James 5:17. It's like when you confess your sins to one another, you will be healed.
Yeah.
It's like so it's like, what do we have to do? Be vulnerable, be honest, be open. Don't live in hiddenness. What's the first thing that Adam and Eve did when they sinned? They went and they hid. It's like, stay out of that. And it's like, we have this thing, well, I don't want people to judge us. They probably will. Guess what? It's way better being free. I can tell you this on the other side. It's way better living in freedom. And it doesn't even if everybody judged you, doesn't even matter. And most people, when you're open and honest, will be like, dude, I've struggled with X, Y, Z. I've gone through this. There'll be such a grace. And some people will be maybe religious about it. And some people probably even with me are like, you struggle with drinking? Yeah, I did. It's like, I loved beer. And I can say that. It's like, and I could always use that excuse.
You were a big supporter of beer.
I was a big supporter of beer, but it's like, I could use it like a lot of people do. It's, I just love beer. I love the taste of this. It's like, hey, guess what? Was it taking me out? Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was masking your pain,
maybe
dog.
mine was masking pain. Maybe mine would have been slower than some people's, but it's like, we know this. Don't live in hiddenness. That's what my encouragement to everybody is. And not saying God will still rescue you in that. That's the faithfulness of God. He rescued me in my hiddenness and put great friends and great people around me who said, we love you. And then it's been free. Like, it's amazing to see freedom. Doesn't mean there hasn't been like road bumps or times where I was like,
or other things that you need rescued from.
or other things I need rescuing from. And it doesn't mean I've been perfect in that. You know what I mean? So it's like, we know it's like, there's things where I have to but that's where high when I say accountability, really people that hold you to who you are in Christ.
Yeah.
I think accountability, sometimes we get confused with like, do this, it's performing. And no, it's holding you to who you're called to be in Jesus.
Yeah.
And his identity and what he has for you. So anyway.
Yeah, it's awesome.
My thoughts.
Yeah, I think we can all look back and look at the times that God's rescued us. But I mean, even if you read Exodus and it's the Israelites getting to the on their way, you know what I mean, to the promised land and just everything they went through. I mean, I can look back, and I share this all the time, just being honest. We know the end of the story. And it's kind of wild because we know the end of the story, and I can, in my head, be like, gosh, these guys dumb? Like, he delivered them from Egypt. You think he's not going to get you across the Red Sea? He delivered you from the Red Sea. You think he's not going to give you water? He delivered you he gave you water. You think he's not going to give you food? And it's wild because we can look back and be like, gosh, these guys just don't get it. Like, he keeps rescuing you. And then you look at yourself and you're like, oh, Danny, you just don't get it. Like, you don't get it. Like, God rescued or gave you opportunities when you thought there was no chance you'd play in the NFL. Oh, God rescued you when you were younger and you got hit by a car and you didn't die. Oh, God rescued you on telling where you need to go next. Oh, God rescued you from anxiety. Oh, God rescued you from this. God rescued Arise.
Yeah.
When you felt like you were dying.
Yeah.
So we read Exodus and we know the end of the story. But if Jesus died for us, we know the end of the story.
Yeah.
So why are we doing the same thing that they're doing?
Yeah.
Or they were doing? And I think the thing is, dog, I need rescuing every day. I don't think it's like, oh crap, something bad's happening. All right, Jesus, I need you to rescue me. No, I need God to rescue me today from being selfish. Like I really do.
Yeah.
I need God to rescue me from not like getting irritable of my kids.
Yeah.
I think the thing is we need rescuing every day, and it's like, hey, Lord, it's like I actually need you to figure something out. I kind of need you to fight for me because like I'm
drowning.
I'm the worst. Like without him, I'm just not that solid of a dude.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, time and time again, if you read scriptures, figures it out for his people, right?
Yeah.
He just figures it out. And he like really cares about us. And the thing that's like when you think about it, he's not like withholding it. He's not, I don't think this is him. I don't think he's up there because we envision it's up there. He's all around. He's omnipresent, but like he's up there. I don't think he's like, oh gosh, this woodhead's dumb. I don't think he's like, gosh, dang it. Don't think he'd say dang it. I don't know.
I bet he does.
He might not. But I think he's not saying, man, how many times am I going to have to bail him out? He keeps doing it on his own. Why isn't he trusting me? I just don't think he's up there. I mean, I'm sure there's certain things that I do that makes him sad.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's like, oh, this one's on him. Not going to bail him out this time.
Yeah.
No, I know that's not true because he keeps bailing me out.
Yeah.
We got a God who bails us out.
Yeah.
Should we keep trying to do things on our own? Nah. But he does keep rescuing us. And I think that's the biggest thing that hopefully anyone and everyone can hear is like, if you're in your business and it's struggling and man, times are tough. Yeah, you're going to be okay.
Yep.
We've been there.
We've been there.
We've made bad investments.
Yeah.
And lost money.
Yeah.
But I will say this, he's always rescued me. Are there times that I did lose money? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, if we believe that our God is good, it shouldn't really matter.
That's why the enemy will always try to get us to feel or to get this doubt of, is God good?
Yeah.
Is God good? Because if you can question that, then everything's questioned. And that's what he still tries to get me with. Is God really good? And I'm like, man, yes, he is good. He's faithful. Like he will. It's not going to look how we probably think it's going to.
I would say almost every time it won't look.
But I can honestly say like a lot of times it is better and it's more, it's greater. And that's where I think when our attitudes to the Lord are just like it's like a place of humility of like, God, I need you every day. And so it's like, we want the bank accounts, we want all this stuff. And by the way, none of that's wrong. But it's like, if it lessens your dependence on the Lord, I would say look into that. Anything that lessens your dependence on the Lord, look into. So it could be money. A lot of people, but we're in America, right? All right, well, I got to save. Dave Ramsey, I got to get all this stuff. It's like, why? What if God says, give it all away? Yeah. Sounds a lot more New Testament-y than probably, I mean, I'm not saying, by the way,
true.
Not saying we don't save. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but it's like, listen to do what God says.
Yeah.
Like that's where like your parents are examples of that. Doing what God says. It's like they've always given more. And guess what? They are taken care of. They've been blessed.
And blessed.
Yeah.
And blessed.
And it's taught them to trust the Lord. Like, I think that's one of those things. It's like we say we want to trust the Lord. I would always tell you, I want to trust the Lord. And then when you actually have to trust the Lord, it becomes a lot different.
We've talked about this and we were talking about like, because we were talking about finances. Yeah. And I said, I only want the amount of money that the Lord wants me to have. I mean, sure, I want to be successful in things that I do, but I only want what he trusts me with or what he wants me to have.
That's good.
I don't want to have any more. I don't want to have any less either.
Yeah.
I want whatever. And some people are like, oh, you need more. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he is Jehovah Jireh. And for people who don't know what that means the God who provides.
Yeah.
You could have $0 in your bank account, but he will take care of you. He's going to provide.
I have to have $10 million because then I get interest off of this, and then I'll give more, and then I'll do. No, you won't. Like, if you're not giving now, if you're not living it out now, you will not. Like, we deal with this all the time. We see people who, I mean, it's sad to say, this is the most common, we don't talk about it a lot in the church, but it's like greed. Like, you read the Bible, it says these people like that practice these things will not inherit something. And I'm not making I'm not making a salvation issue, but I'm just saying greed is one where we have to really we have to take into account that is a sin, not taking care of people, and not anyway. That's a whole. We'll go down a greed.
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing is, hey God, we want to trust you.
Yeah.
The rescuing thing, that's just God gets us to the point of just trusting Him, just letting Him fight the battle. Now, are there things that God's going to ask us to do? Yeah, He's going to ask us probably to surrender.
Yeah.
And is there going to be times where He just asks us to? He might tell us that we need to do things. Yeah. In verse 15, it says something like, hey, get moving, Moses, or tell the people. He says, then the Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. Yeah. And then raise your staff. Okay. I'm going to fight the battle, but you guys actually have to walk. You don't just sit there and he could, but I don't think he was going to teleport every single Israelite over to the other side. So he said, get moving. I'm going to tell you what to do. And do it.
There's
trust me in it.
There's rumors though that the Nephilim carried them across the water. No, I'm just.
That's a whole nother thing.
But hey, and by the way,
a whole nother topic.
I think, and just so everybody hears me, I hope
Blake can't even function. He's like, what are they talking about?
By the way, look up Nephilim if you don't know what they are. But I think
I don't know how much you need a deep dive.
One of the other things, but it's I think having money, you have a lot of. It's I think it's phenomenal. I think people should have money. I think but if your trust is in that, in a number, and not in daily dependence on the Lord, that's what I was trying to get over.
That's why we only want. That's why I think it's I want what God wants me to have. I'm going to do my best at everything that I'm going to do. I don't want $1 more than God wants me to have.
That's good, man.
Because then I'm living for me.
Yep.
I don't want to live for me.
It's good.
So we are reaching the end. But I will say this. God wants to rescue you. God will rescue you. If it's sometimes you just got to put your hope in Him, your trust in Him.
Yep.
Do you have anything to share with anyone? We don't have anyone today we don't have a person interviewing. Yeah. So we always like to end with encouraging words. Do you have anything? Or
I think what you said, it's God will catch you. God will rescue you. He is coming after you. It's not I think a lot of times it's we think it's going to happen. We hope. God will. It's not a I might. It's a He will rescue you. So if you're struggling with anything today, I think our encouragement is know that God will rescue you. Know that you're not too far gone, and just get ready. That's what I feel. Get ready.
And I think there's probably someone out there that might be listening that might be dealing with some of that stuff. Maybe even dealing with the stuff I was dealing with.
Yeah.
Maybe dealing with tipping the bottle a couple times too many. But I do want to encourage you that God's chasing after you, and probably chasing after you right now.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I love hide and seek. Hide and seek in the dark's really fun. You don't want to be found.
Yeah.
You want to be found.
Yes.
And God will find you. He has found you. Let Him tag you. Be blessed today. Have a great one.
Yep.